Rashmi Kaur. I am from Nurture. Today we have with us GM R B Ramesh. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, Rashmi. So let's just wait a few more seconds for everyone to log in, and then we
Yes.
can proceed.
Okay. So meanwhile, I'm just sharing one slide.
This session it's about Max Uwe, who was the fifth world champion, and he was a multifaceted personality. I hope you are all able to see me and hear me clearly. Also see the chess set. Okay, chess set I have not yet shared so far. Yeah, Dr. Strange. Okay, so I will share the screen now.
So before that, we have an announcement.
Yeah.
There are do's and don'ts of the session. So the do's are, if in case you want to give any answer regarding the position, use chat box. Okay, and in case you want to ask any question during the session, use Q&A box. And please don't spam. If you have asked your question, please wait for your answer. Ramesh will answer all the questions asked. Okay, so I'm handing over session to Ramesh sir. You can start the session, sir.
Yeah, so I'm sharing the screen now, the chessboard. We'll go to the game shortly, but before that, let us briefly look at some facts about Max Uwe. He was born in the Netherlands near Amsterdam, and he got a PhD in mathematics and in 1926, and he was also a very strong chess player. He became a world champion, but one of the shortest tenure for a world champion. And about his chess, okay, he started playing at the age of 10, and he won the Dutch championship many times, 12 times in his lifetime. And every time he played in the Dutch championship, he won the title, and that record still holds good. Okay, let me just quickly check the chat message. Yeah. Yeah, Bharat Subramaniam became an IM. Yes, Kushal. Yeah, so, yeah, good morning and good evening and good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so as I was saying, Max Uwe started playing at the age of 10, and he played in many Dutch national championships, and he won the title for 12 times. Okay, I remember in India we have Ganguly who won for 6 times. Probably I'm not sure about the other records. Maybe Barua, Tipse, or Devi Prasad could have higher numbers, but I think Ganguly's title or 6 national titles is also very important, given that in those years most of the top players in India participated. Okay, then Max Uwe defeated Alexander Alekhine in a world championship match, and the score was very narrow, 15.5 to 14.5. So very close match. And Capablanca had some before the match. Capablanca had some interesting observation. He said this quote has been recorded. So this audio quote, the video quote you could see in YouTube, I believe. So the quote is Dr. Alikhan's game is 20% bluff. It's 80% good, correct, and 20% bluff. And Dr. Uwe's game is clear and straightforward. That was Dr. Uwe's game, not so strong as Alikhan's in some aspects. It is more evenly balanced. So this was Capablanca's assessment before the match. And initially, Alekhine had a +3 advantage. And then Uwe neutralized it. And finally, the match ended in Uwe's favor. And Uwe also, he was interested in computer programming. Back then, the computers were not as popular as these days. They're just humans began working with computers. And he was very much interested in that area as well. And he was also a FIDE official, a FIDE president for many years. Okay, so now we had some brief intro about Uwe. Let us go to see some of his games and understand him better as a chess player. Okay, And Rishit Gupta has given a message. Please hold on. I'm playing in the Guwahati tourney that starts from 9th July. Okay, that's more than a week from now. I am Somat Pali, Balasubramaniam, Aptarishi, Sahil, etc. Should I stop preparing or continue? I don't understand your question, Rishit. Should I stop preparing means what do you mean? I don't understand your question. So you have to keep preparing every day. There's no question of stopping preparation. In general, if you want to be a good chess player, you have to practice on a daily basis. Okay, so let us see some games now before we take questions. Let us do it towards the end of the session. Okay, so Gyani Vodela says there is also UA variation in French. Yeah, almost all the world champions they have one variation or the other named after them. Probably Anand is an exception. Okay. So Rishit Gupta says you have written in your book that we can stop preparing before some days of the tournament and relax. See, these are all just opinions. Okay, different people have different opinions about how different things should be handled. For example, Botvinnik used to say you should stop preparing few days before the tournament. Okay, and you should go fresh. But if you take Chuchalev, who has worked with many of the top players of now, current generations, he says like you should prepare right till the game. Okay, so there are pros and cons to different approaches. The main thing is what works for us, we have to find. That is more important. Okay, you try one approach in few tournaments. If it is working, stick to it and improvise it. If it does not work, try some other approach. Okay, what works for one person doesn't have to work for another person. So you have to experiment. Okay, so in this game, Max UA is white and it's not playing with the OK sticker. So you can see it's a Slav variation and white has played the move E3. And these days, this is very popular setup for white. And black usually have three options here. One is bishop f5, the other is bishop g4, and one sideline is g6. But some people also play e6 to try to transpose to semi-Slav. Let us see what happened in this game. He played e6. This is not considered to be very accurate. Most black players who play semi-Slav, they don't like this move. They prefer either bishop f5 or bishop g4. There are many top players games in those lines. Okay, so here if white plays knight c3, then it just transposes to normal semi-Slav. Okay, but he is not obliged to do it. He can also play with b3, bishop d3, and so on. So in this game, UA played knight bd2. Now the point of knight bd2, the difference between knight bd2 and knight c3 is, in case of knight c3, when black plays dc4, we'll be forced to take the bishop. But with knight bd2, whenever he takes with dc4, we have the extra option to take the pawn with the knight. This is the main difference between knight c3 and knight d2. Both knight c3 and knight d2, they help white to push the pawn to e4. Like if white can get bd3 castle, he can consider playing e4. So in this case, both knight c3 and knight d2 help white to push e4. But here, white also has an extra option. You could go b3, bishop b2, and then later also you can try to push e4. Okay, so this is the main difference between knight c3 and knight d2. The point is, whenever white plays knight c3, at some point or other, white has to develop the bishop on f1. and normally they do it on d3, and that is the exact moment black will take dc4. So when white plays bd3, he will take dc4, and when white takes bishop c4, white would have lost a tempo. Okay, so with knight d2, he's trying to avoid that. Okay, knight d7 is a natural move. bd3. Now he could go something like bishop d6, castle, castle, and then like e4. Okay, now if d e4, that is supposed to be slightly better for white. Okay, but that is a different case. Okay, so here he played c5. Okay, so black has lost a tempo. He played c6 and then c5. So one tempo short. Now let's say if you put the bishop back to f1, then we have almost the same position, right? Very symmetrical. But white already has bishop d3, and it is white to play. Okay, fine. So how should we play? Okay, what else? Okay, so some of you are suggesting dc5. dc5 suggestion doesn't make much sense, because if you take dc5, he can develop the bishop in one move. Okay, this is one, and the other is he can also consider knight c5, gaining a tempo. In both the cases, I don't see what white gained by taking dc5. Okay, so dc5, at least when he plays bishop e7 or bishop d6, if you take dc5, expecting bishop c5, I can understand. But when the bishop is on f8 taking dc5, it doesn't make much sense to me. Okay, so played castle. Okay, so now some of you suggested cd5 also. Okay, so like one variation is cd5. If ed5, dc5, and then this is isolated pawn, and if knight d5, e4. Okay, what is the problem with this? The problem with this approach is the king is still in the center. Okay, maybe he can do like this, and then you'll be forced to go back bishop f1. Okay, I don't think that should be the right approach for white. Okay, and if you see, like Ramya, she said e4 till this line, but she missed knight f4, and then this attacks both the pawn and the bishop. Now the point is, we see some forcing line, and it does not work in our favor. Why? Why it doesn't work in our favor? Normally, when we break rules, this will happen. Okay. Now, what rule white broke? cd5, knight d5, e4. Right? We are going for action before we complete our development or keeping the king safe. Okay. So this is the right move. So the point is, and you might wonder why I asked you to guess the move at this point. Okay, because at this point there is tension, more tension in the center, and immediately how our mind works, like some of you wanted to take dc5, some of you wanted to take cd5, but basically you don't want tension, you want to release the tension, right? So you should learn, we should release tension only when necessary, when you get something clear. Now Om Kadam, you are asking, isn't b3 working? Now the point is, after b3 also, let's say you play b3, then on the next white move or in the future, you have to castle, right? So you have to castle anyway. So why not castle first? So you have more options now. You may play b3 here, next move. My point is, if you play b3, you have to castle anyway. But if you castle, b3 is not forced. You understand my point? Okay, when you play b3, you still have to castle anyway. But if you castle first, b3 is not forced. Okay, so don't put yourself in situations where you are forced to do things. It already means you are going in the wrong direction. Understand? Now, you don't have to worry about the bishop c1 at this point. Okay, at this point, what you should worry? The bishop or the king? This is your question. If you worry about the bishop, you should play b3, bb2 now. Okay, but that is not our priority. Now only you should worry about the bishop. Now your king is safe. You worry about the bishop now, it makes sense. That is why, if you realize, like I keep telling that see like 10, 15 games every day of good players. Why? And when we see those games, we should start very early. I normally recommend like from move 5 onwards. From move 5 onwards, try to guess moves and see. Okay, why from move 5 onwards? Because when you see many good players' games, most of the games will not be in the openings you play. Okay, you may be a e4 player, and now we are seeing it opening from 1 d4, right? So you will be seeing many games on the openings which you don't play. So in such situations, what can happen? Like you will learn how difficult it is to develop pieces in the opening. Because most of us thinking developing pieces is easy job. It is one of the most difficult parts in chess, where to put our pieces. Okay, because so many options are there. Okay, so that is why you have to keep testing yourself by guessing moves from as early as move 5. Okay, fine. So in this position, black played b6. Now, what do you think about this move? b6. This is like Om Kadam said, why not play b3, right? So black is doing the same, b6. Yeah, basically, after white has castled, black should be more worried about his king. Black should be more worried about his king, but with b6, he's saying, I'm more worried about my bishop. Okay, and does it look like a mistake? After he explained the principle from principle's viewpoint, maybe it's a mistake, but let us just put ourselves in white's position. Like you're playing in a tournament game, you played castle, your opponent played b6. Would you feel that your opponent has made a mistake, or you would think just a normal game? How would you feel? You would feel your opponent has made a mistake, or you would feel it's just another move. So some of you say mistake, some of you say no. So some of you feel it is dubious or made a mistake. You have to have this sense of alertness. Okay? The moment you castle, you should look at the opponent king. If it is in the center, you should immediately be like, what can I do? Okay, so Aubrey, can you change the chat option to all panelists, please? Because your chat, everyone else can see. So where you type, you'll see two. There's an option, all panelists. Please click change to that. Thank you very much. Okay. So this way, like whatever you type, others cannot see. It won't disturb their thinking process. So Dakshayani says, can we now play b3 because we have castled our king? Very interesting question. What do you think, guys? So previous move I said, king in the center. Why you want to worry about the bishop? So why you want to play b3? So why not keep the king safe? So now she's asking a very logical question. My king is castled. I don't have to worry about my king now. I have to worry about my bishop. So why not I play b3 and develop my bishop? So Gyani says it's time to open position. Arjun says b6 is kind of a passive. E4 can give. Arav says we should try to exploit the king in the center immediately. Okay, so everyone says like we can play, but since the drawback of b6 is that his king in the center, so strike in the center with e4. Okay, so most of you like e4. Okay, so when you see idea like e4, immediately you should get a question in your mind. What is that? Let's say you like e4 here. Immediately what you should consider? No, d4 means knight e4. That is fine. When you see e4, you should also consider, should I play e4 directly or should I first take cd5 and then e4? Understand my point? Okay, whenever you want to do certain thing, okay, normally what we'll do, we will consider doing that option. We will analyze that option. I want to play e4, so we will analyze e4. Okay, but that is not how you should think. Currently, you are thinking, I want to play e4, so I will analyze e4. But what I'm trying to tell you is, when you see an idea like e4, immediately you should ask a question, okay, I can play directly e4, or can I play e4 in a better version, in a better way? Okay, Sandeep Nagare, please change to panelist. Yes, everyone, there are like 82 participants now. To all 82 participants, my request, please keep the chat option to all panelists. So whatever you type, only I can see, not everyone. It can easily disturb concentration of others. Thanks, Sandeep. Okay, so please don't type anything now. I'm telling an important way to think. Okay, so try to understand what I'm trying to say. So my point is, whenever you see a move like e4, immediate, which you think is good, like everyone feels e4 is good. Let's say you see an idea and you think it is a good idea. Now, once you realize or once you feel your idea is good, normally what happens is we will analyze it and most likely play it because we like it. Okay, but how you should learn to think in the future is whenever you see a good idea, few other things you have to consider. One is, can I play this idea in a much better version, in a different way? Like here, instead of e4 directly, you can play cd5 and then e4 or dc5 and then e4 like this. Can I do the same e4 idea in a different way or in a much better way? That you should consider. And the other thing you have to consider is, okay, I like e4, so it becomes option 1. Then we ask ourselves, are there option 2, 3, 4 available? Okay, so now my question is, should we play e4 immediately or take cd5 and then e4? So if you think cd5, then you have to consider both ed5 and knight d5. For both, you should have a decent reply, and then direct e4. So which one you should do? You can think and tell. No need to rush. Okay, fine. So let us see what he did. Okay, CD5. Now, how do we sense this? The timing, CD5. Okay, this is important. Now, if you see in this position, like some of you suggested CD5. Now, why here it is not, he's not playing it? Because one, the king in the center. Okay, and he has not yet played B6. Okay, so first he focuses on development. He doesn't yet know DC5 is good or CD5 is good or E4 is good. Too many options are there. So why decide it with the king on E1? So first let me castle. Next move let me decide E4 or DC5 or CD5, whatever. But when he plays B6, immediately the drawback is this diagonal is weak for this move. If you give time, he'll play BB7 and then this diagonal is not weak anymore. But for this particular moment, when he has played B6, this diagonal is weak. And this is one thing that is already guiding us in which direction we should think. And the other thing is king in the center and lack of development. Right? The lack of development, king in the center, the diagonal is weak. So all these three things should trigger us, okay, I should go for E4. Now the question is, once you see E4, opening this diagonal and opening the center, immediately you should also get the follow thought process. That is, can I do the same idea in a better way? Understood? So now let's see. Let me put it this way. Many of you might be thinking, see, what happens is, whenever we see a good move, our mind starts analyzing and going in that direction. This is the human nature. Okay, but if you look logically, suppose you are trying to catch fish. Okay, so you have a hook and a fishing rod, you put it in water, and then you catch a fish. So once you catch a fish, what do? You unhook the fish, put it in a basket, and then what do? Put the hook back again, right? You try to catch more fish, right? So basically, when you have gone for fishing, you don't be satisfied with one fish. You try to catch as many fish as possible. So similarly, E4, when you see, this is the first fish. That is, okay, so number one, good evening. Okay, so some of you are just logged in. Okay, so when you see E4, see it as the first fish. Okay, now you'll see if I can catch another fish. Okay, so when you see a good idea, look for a better one. That's what Lasker said so many decades ago. So it took. Okay, and now if knight d5, e4, knight f4, we can move bishop b5. Okay, idea bishop c6, idea knight c4, everything is coming for white. Okay, so it took with the pawn. And now e4. You see the timing. Okay, white king is already castled, black king in the center, and the black's development is not so great. And immediately white rushes to open the position. Okay, Yash Patel, this BD6 means E5. Okay, you want to play BD6? Okay, he played this. Now think and tell. Okay, please think and then tell. Don't type moves immediately. Don't be impatient. See, the lessons are to improve our chess, and you can improve your chess when you think more. Okay, so type less, think more. I'll give you enough time. Please think. Okay, so Namit Bir, I will answer your question. So basically the choices, three choices you could say. One, to push e5. Two, to take ed5. Three, just bring the rook e1. Okay, so these are the three main options. e5 to attack the knight with tempo. ed5 to open the center so you can get rook e1 with check. Or directly rook e1 threatening all of the above. Okay, so these are the major choices that is available in front of us. Now, Namit Bir is asking a question, what is wrong with e4 first? Okay, because if you plays BB sound, then you can always transpose CD5, ED5. But if you play e4, we are ruling out the option CD5, knight d5. Okay, so why not e4 first? So this is a valid question, but the point is, Yuvesh says he is not worried about CD5, knight d5. If he is worried about CD5, knight d5, he can consider preventing it with direct e4. But here he probably expect him to take knight d5, so he doesn't want to discourage him by playing e4 first. There are many ways to look at the same thing. Okay, so here the point is, like, many of you saw all the three options, e5, ed5, rook e1. Okay, but once you see the three options, what is happening is you are blindly making a guess. Okay, I'll play rook e1, I'll play e5, I'll play ed5, something like this. But there is nothing to support your move other than your trust, other than your intuition. Okay, if you are in a blitz game, you can do that. But when we are talking about serious training, you should seriously think about all the possibilities. Okay, I'll give you like 2 more minutes. Please analyze for 2 minutes. It's white to move. Black has just played the BB song. E4 BB song, black has played. White to play. I have three. So maybe some of you are playing in undersound internationals. I'm seeing numbers are increasing now. Okay, fine. So Dakshani says all moves look good. How do we choose? First thing is, that is what we should realize. The problem with which a chess player faces. 2-3 moves look good. Then what we are currently doing, we are blindly taking a chance. Okay, I like this, so let me try this. Someone else likes something else, he tries that. Okay, but if you give this to a strong player, he'll think for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, he will analyze ed5 and then rook e1 check. He will analyze direct rook e1, and then he'll try to see which is better. We'll compare things. Okay. So now you are like stuck with queen e2. Why not queen e2? Why not queen e2? My point is you have to find out why not queen e2. See, oh, sorry. Okay, he played ed5. Okay, with queen e2, the problem is you are committing the queen too early to a particular square. But the queen has multiple options. Okay, but if you look at the rook, it has only one option. Understand? A piece has more option, one piece has less, no options, only one. So in that case, you should choose the rook. I think this logic I have mentioned many times in earlier classes. Okay, in the game he took ed5, but let's analyze ed5 in our mind. Okay, so ed5, what is opponent likely to take? So Alok Sinha is giving some variations. Okay, after ed5, he can take knight d5 or bishop d5. Okay, in the game he took bishop d5, then what? After bishop d5, what is the likely variation? And then rook e1 check, everyone is saying. So ed5, bishop d5, rook e1, what is black likely to do? Bishop e7, okay, then. Okay, instead of bishop e7, what about bishop e6? What do you do for bishop e6? You can go knight g5. Most of you are saying knight g5, but it is also possible to play bishop c4. Okay, like Ashrit Madhyadagan said, bishop c4 is also good, knight g5 is also good. So ed5, bishop d5, rook e1, we are not worried about bishop e6. So bishop e7. Now what? Now black needs just castle, one more, and it should be fine. So what do you do? Make list, guys. Yeah, so for bishop e7, queen e2 is good enough. Okay, so the moment you see this, okay, now you see after ed5, we see knight d5 and bishop d5, and for bishop d5, rook e1, bishop e6, knight g5, and rook e1 check, bishop e7, queen e2, and at these places, you are finding white is better. Okay, so like this, you should analyze on your own without my help, and then you can decide whether rook e1 is good or ed5 is good. Okay, so in the game, he took ed, bishop d5, check, bishop e7. Now queen e2 is good enough, but there is also another interesting move here. In the game, he did not play queen e2. What is the other interesting move? Yeah, so the other main move is dc5. Okay, so if you are black, what you should do? Yeah, So it's very important. Okay, in the game he took knight c5, and this is almost like a forced move, right? Looks like a forced move because if pawn into c5, queen e2, this is even more favorable for white than direct queen e2, right? Because the pawn structure is also bad. Okay, and bishop c5 he cannot take. So in the game, knight c5 and then bb5 check, then the king got into trouble. Okay, so what did I say? How do we assess a position? King safety, piece activity, material, right? So keep the king safe, put your pieces in good squares, keep the pieces actively, and finally worry about material. So the moment you realize after bc5, queen e2, you have problems, knight c5, bb5, you have problems with the king, you should simply do this. What is the worst that can happen? White will win a pawn, right? What can black do? If queen b6, rook e7. So your option is only knight b6 or a b6. Queen b6 means rook e7. So it's only knight b6 and a b6. What should you choose? Yeah, you should play a b6, and then you open the file also. Already this is under attack, and then once you get like knight c5, your pieces are becoming very active, and then you have very good compensation for the pawn. So now the question, important question, if you get this position in your tournament, let's say tomorrow, would you play castle or bc5 or knight c5? Honest answer. So now many of you say I would play castle. Ah. Yeah. So Kumar says castle for sure because you told us. That's what I feel. Okay. So once I have told castling is good, then you are confident about playing castle. So from these type of positions, you should learn that king safety is very important in the opening. In the opening stage, you can become a pawn down if your pieces are all very active. So Namit says, I would start worrying. And after around 10 minutes of thinking, I may play castle. Not sure. Okay, but that is honest thing. But once you see such examples, once you hear my explanation, okay, instead of having a bad king, it is better to be a pawn down. Okay, instead of having bad pieces, it's better to play a pawn down. Okay, so this game was played in 1924. So Srikar is asking, and why did white play dc5, giving black the option to castle? This game was played in 1924. Back then, they thought dc5 means either you should take knight c5 or pawn to c5. And those days, instead of king safety or active pieces, they gave importance to material, okay, and pawn structure. So those days, playing with equal material and having good pawn structure was very important. If you take like pawn into c5, people will laugh at you. How can you play like this? Bad pawn structure. That's it. Okay, but modern chess, you will see players play with pawn into c5, this pawn structure. Okay, but here after queen e2, you are not able to castle. Okay, but if that is not there, if queen e2 problem is not there, then modern players are not afraid to play with this kind of bad pawn structure for black because it gives a lot of open lines for your pieces. Okay, the E file, the B file, the B6 square, the B2 pawn is a backward pawn, and all this. Okay, but here after queen E2, then you will have big problems with the bishop. You cannot castle. Okay, so castling is the correct move. But back then, they did not know such ideas that you can castle CB6, AB6. Later only, these type of ideas became popular. So in modern chess, castling is very well accepted. But those days, he took drawback. Okay, what to do? Black is some Spear Abraham. I never heard of him. Okay, so some of you are asking why not knight d7 without mentioning which knight. Okay, let me answer both. If you take with this knight, I could go here. Drawback is knight d6 check. Knight d7 is blocking. And the drawback is the bishop is hanging now. Okay. Okay, bishop e6. I can go knight d4 also. Or even knight d6 check. Bishop d6, queen d6. Okay. And if bishop c4, bishop c4. Do you want to seriously play this? Okay, you have to go knight b7. And all our pieces are extremely active. Now, if you go, maybe you are even losing material because if rook b8, bishop f4, queen c7, rook e7. Okay, so I just hit. And if you put the other knight, then queen e2, not letting you castle. Okay, but you can just compare the pieces and king. Our pieces and king are very bishop e6, knight d4, or knight g5. Knight d4, you get c6 square also. Okay, so not too good though. King f8. But now you see, keeping the king, but black has good pawn structure and black has equal pawns. And that's what black wanted, right? Keep equal pawns in good pawn structure. But what is the price he paid? He made his king weak. And he thought weak king is okay. But he should have said pawn down is okay, not weak king. Wrong priorities. Okay, now find the right move. So far, okay, Kom Prasad is fine. I'm reading all your suggestions. So far, Kom Prasad is right. Yeah, some of you say 95. 95 is a good move. Okay, and some of you like b4. b4 somehow, I'm not very sure. Because after b4, 96, like these two knights kind of give some protection to the king from front attack. And not only that, you either have to sacrifice this pawn, in which case you should have good calculation, or you should waste time like a3 and defend the pawn. Okay, so he did not play b4. 95 is a good move, but he did not play it. What else is good? Okay, guys, Q&A. I'm not answering now. You can see I'm taking a class. Okay, he played B3. Oh, okay. Now he simply wants to develop. Okay. Now the point is, okay, many of you wanted to play B4, right? Why many of you like B4? Can you tell me the logical reasoning behind that? Maybe you all saw B3 also, but B4 looked more attractive. Why? Okay, it's an attacking move. What else? The point is, you felt the need that I should act fast. I should do something quickly, right? You had that feeling that I have to do something quick now. Okay, but my point is, here you should actually go into slow mode. I don't have to do anything quickly here. Can you tell me why? Here I'm saying white should not hurry. Why? Okay, the king. Okay, the king is now a permanent problem or a very long-term problem for black. Now in chess, we want to win game. When you want to win game, what are the things we need or look for to play for a win? You need something to play for a win with, right? Either you should have something good which your opponent does not have, or your opponent should have something bad which you can hopefully exploit. Okay, right? You cannot expect in every game to simply give checkmate. If your opponent plays very bad, he cooperates very well with you, he makes many mistakes, and of course, you can win with a devastating attack and all that. But in general, we need some imbalance, something in our favor to play for a win. That's all you need. You should have something going good for you and something going bad for opponent. So here you already have that, right? Which is the king f8. And because of the king f8, Mr. Rook h8 is not going to join the game in the near future, right? One, the king f8 is not safe. Two, because of the king, the rook h8 is not going to join the game shortly. So basically, till the rook h8 joins the game, white is basically a rook up. You can put bb2 rook c1, then both your rooks are playing. He can maximum come rook c8. Only one rook he can bring into the game. You can bring both rooks into the game, right? So you are already like a rook up for practical purposes. Opponent king is not safe. Do you need more advantage to play for win? No, you should be satisfied. Okay, I have enough to play for a win. Once you realize you have enough to play for a win, and the advantage you have is not short term, it's not going to disappear in 2 3 moves. Okay, if you say okay, he plays g6, king g7, then the rook will join the game. But g6 will have bh6 check. Something you should get. Okay, so once you realize he has long term problems, then don't rush. Okay, play a long game. That is the logic behind b3. Okay, so now Yasha Spacey says, could black start an attack on king side by playing h5? Of course, he should have played h5. Okay, that would give him some counter activity on the king side, and it also helps to play rook h6 at some point, like if you play bb2. Okay, so that's what he could have done, but you should realize that h5 is not an attacking move, like Yasha's worries about. He says, can black start an attack with h5? Okay, h5 is not an attacking move. He doesn't have enough pieces yet. More importantly, the center is open. Okay, when the center is open, don't worry about flank attack. You will get enough counterplay in the center. Understood? If the center is closed and your opponent is attacking in the king side, you should worry. Okay, Yashas, you have to convert to all panelists. Okay, so now did you have to convert can Yashas Spacey? You have to change to all panelists only. Currently it is all panelists and attendees. Please change to all panelists. Okay, guys. So did you understand? Now these are all very important questions. When we play in a tournament game, okay, these questions will come to us. Usually we don't handle them correctly. What was the one important question in the opening? What were the important questions in the opening? White faced. What decisions he took? Can someone tell me? What were the important moments in the opening? And how White reacted? Yeah, one is castle or CD5. When black played C5 in the opening, whether I should take CD5 or I should castle first. That's an important decision. And after castling B6, he immediately realized, okay, B6 is too slow. And then he immediately became alert and he wanted to go for E4. Once he saw E4, then he hesitated. Should I go E4 directly or I should take CD5 first and then play E4? That alertness, it kicked on and he found CD5, ED5, E4. That's a critical decision. And then what? After E4, how to play? Rook E1 or ED5, right? Some of you wanted to play Rook E1, some of you wanted to play ED5. That is a critical decision. Okay, and finally, at this point, to play B3 or go for more action with B4. Okay, so here immediately he slowed down. So you see, when he took CD5, ED5, E4, he played very fast, very aggressive. But after some moves, he's again playing B3 and slows down. Okay, the speed of the game increases, slows, everything happening. So basically, because he slows down, because he had a long-term advantage, that is King F8 and Rook H8. Because he has long-term advantage, he is slowing down. If your advantage is short-term, you have to speed up. Okay, what to do now? So many of you wanted to simply develop Bishop B2, what he did. But computer likes other moves. Computer also likes Bishop C4. Drawback of BB7. The bishop was on D5, it went to B7, right? So it wants to come and then directly go after this weakness. Okay, so this is very strong move, but he played the natural move BB2. Bishop A3 is also good. Okay. So BB2 looks so natural, right? Because we just played B3, right? But Bishop C4 is very strong. So what do we learn from this? You play B3 and then Bishop BB2, you have to play BC4. What do you learn from this? Drawback. You have to pay attention to your opponent move. If he's having a good idea, use prophylaxis and prevent it. He has a bad idea, punish it. So BB7 drawback is BC4. Okay, and the other thing, as Namit said, you have to change plans according to how your opponent plays. Okay, drawback and prophylaxis you should use more, basically paying attention to what your opponent is doing and also changing plans accordingly. Bishop A3 is also good, Krishna. Okay, played BB2, knight D3. You don't have a choice. But it looks like now black is fine, right? But he still has those two problems. Rook is simply not joining the game. Okay, so the most natural move here is Rook C1. Okay, that's what happened in the game. Idea Rook C7. And the most adventurous move is Rook E7. Okay, both are good moves. Rook C1 bringing the piece, you cannot fault it. Idea Rook C7, developing the piece with threat. So Rook C1, including the last piece into the game, you cannot fault it. If you want more adventure, you can also take Rook E7. So after Rook E7, what can happen? Rook E7, he has to take King E7, then Bishop A3 check. Where should he go with the king? If King E8 is a mistake, why King E8 is a mistake? After Rook E7, King E7, yeah, Queen E1 check, Queen E7 will come. Okay, so Rook E7, King E7, Bishop A3 check, King D8. Then, if King D7, Knight E5 check. So Bishop A3 check, he should go King D8. Then what? Yeah, Jit okay, most of you, everyone is correct. Knight E5. Queen attack, idea Knight F7 check. So what should he do? Queen D3 attack and F7 attack. What should black do? Queen D5. Then idea Queen G2 mate. Then what? For Queen D5, what should we do? No, not Knight F7. You could go Knight DC4. Okay, Knight E5 is also fine. Yes. But don't be stuck with one move. Okay? That's not a strength, that's a weakness. I saw one move, so it better be correct. Don't be like that. Okay, so Queen D5, Knight DC4. And some of you say Queen G2, but the Queen D5 is pin. Okay, so Rook E7, King E7, Bishop A3 check, King D8, Knight E5, Queen attack, F7 attack, Queen D5, idea Queen G2 mate, Knight DC4. You are defending the E5 knight and you are preventing Queen G2 mate by pinning Queen D1, Queen D5, King D8, and you are already threatening Knight to F7 check because the Queen D5 is pin. Okay, so for Knight D C4, Rook E8, then Knight d4, rook e8. Then what? Yeah, Jitsha is right. Knight e3. Okay, I'll show it on the board. So rook is on, king is on, check. Now if king d7, knight e5, check. If king e8, queen e1, check. So king d8, knight e5, queen attack, f7 attack. Keep support. Get more piece into the game. Now knight f7 is a threat. When he moves the king after knight f7, you can take queen d5 and take h8. Okay, so he plays rook e8. Okay, and now knight e3. Keep attacking. Queen attack. So queen d1 check. Rook d1. So even though we are exchanged down, the white pieces are very aggressive, but still we have to calculate well. Okay, goes here. Then what? King c7 also same. What to do? Don't keep traps. Don't be greedy. So many of you say knight f7 or knight f5, idea knight d6 fork. They are fine, but this is more forcing. If king b8, bd6 met, so he has to come here. Now you take the pawn with check instead of knight f7, direct. And now knight d6. And here he has to do something like this, and you have an extra pawn. But you can see it is opposite color bishop. The e3 pawn is double the pawn, it's weak pawn. So you cannot say it is an easy win, but white should win here. Okay, white should win this endgame, but a lot of struggle is still ahead. Okay, so you cannot say rook e7 is bad. Rook e7 you are getting advantage, but he did not play that. He played rook c1. Now again the important question: if I get this position and I see rook e7, should I play rook e7 or I should play rook c1? What should be the answer? And why? What is the logic? Logic. So he says I would play, Amit says I would play rook c1 because in attack and defense by Aga, he says first chapter itself bring all pieces into the attack. So and Arav says I'll play rook c1 because I cannot lose in rook c1 variation. But in rook e7, in case my calculations are wrong, I can lose. I will calculate rook e7 first. If it works, I will go for it. But if it does not work, I will play rook c1. Okay, all your and Sham Kumar Malayal says too long calculation for me. So I will go for rook c1. Okay, fine. So no correct answer for this. Okay, those who believe in your calculation, you analyze rook e7 and then finally take a decision. Both moves are good. So his point is if rook e3 now attacking the queen, bishop f3. If queen into f3, queen into d2, because queen into a8 is not coming in. That is the point. Okay. If rook e3 now, bishop f3, queen f3, the a8 rook is not coming in. Any intermediate move, Jeet, that you have to see. So Jeet says now you can take rook e7. It's a simple win because it does not have king d8 square. Is there anything else you have to calculate in this? Yeah, if rook e7, you have to consider bishop of 3. If you have a good reply for rook e7 b of 3, then play rook e7. Otherwise, something else. For Jeet, you missed bishop of 3. Little careless. Okay, Jeet, but did you see it before when you said rook e7? Okay, then it is careless. Now, there is an interesting variation you have to calculate. So, everyone analyze rook e7, please. Make rook e7 work. Okay, so here the variation is rook e7, bishop of 3. Now you have to find a very important move. Okay, Rushan, you found it. Kushal Jani, yes. Seenak, yes. So this is actually working. Now you have to see this move. Nice move, right? The queen is under attack and is not doing anything about the queen under attack. Now, if he takes bd1, then not windmill, only one discovered check. And now if you go queen d6, because if king g8, rook d3, rook d3, rook c8 met. Okay, so here, again, if rook d6, rook c8 met, and you are winning. Okay, if again rook d2, rook c8 met, otherwise bishop of 6, and for if you go back, because he's attacking the bishop now and the queen, both under attack. What to do? should go rook c7 direct. Now bd7 means it's mate. Checkmate. Oh, okay. So take the bishop. Check. Now if you go king g8, check, check, checkmate. Okay. Also check. It's over. Okay. So you see, this was very powerful. Now someone asked why not rook c7 here itself. But here he can take, take, take. Now if check king e8, you don't have queen e1, you only have a perpetual check. If you try this check, there is no win. Okay, you have to take perpetual check. So direct rook c7 is not good. First bishop a3, if bishop d1, rook e3, and if here those work. Beautiful game, right? So it was a lot of good things in this game. One, white, he sensed that I should first castle and then only take concrete actions. And then when b6 provocation came, he went for the cd5, ed5, e4 breakthrough. And then he opened the center with ed5 and then got rook e1 check, bishop e7, dc5. But the dc5 was the only inaccurate move in this game because it gave black one chance to equalize or fight for draw with castle, cb6, ab6. But black hesitated in that moment. He was scared to take the risk, and as a result, he had to be on the defensive throughout the game. Okay, so in our games also, such things can happen very often. Okay, at the critical moment or the important moment, if you don't take the principal continuation, then you could easily wind up in bad positions. Okay, now I have few questions. I have already answered some of the questions by type chat. Okay, so some questions like I feel could be useful for others also. So let me quickly answer them. Okay. Okay, so anonymous attendee, how should we play in passive positions when all pawns and pieces are blocked for both players? Okay, in close positions, I already said few things you have to consider is paying attention to what your opponent is doing, that is prophylaxis, and you have to play with good pieces, with piece improvement. If you keep improving your piece position, then periodic, timely exchanging of pieces, that is a very important skill you should learn. And then transposing to endgame at the right moment, exploiting weaknesses. So if you work on these areas, then you can handle close positions. Okay. So Kumar Subramaniam says, there are so many principles in chess. How to know which principle to apply at the right time? There is no way to know that. Okay. If there is a solution for this question, then we just explain to all chess players, in this situation, do this. In this situation, do this. And you can apply that in every position and everyone will get good results. So you have to realize we are always facing choices with our principles. Which principle I should follow, which principle I should not follow. And that is why when you are practicing at home, you are not just seeing games, you are not just solving positions, you are also trying to learn how to take these decisions. Okay, in which type of position, which type of decision I should take. So different types of positions you study and you can take these decisions in a better way. Okay, so Shahil Shejal says, I'm playing under 17 nationals tomorrow. I'm playing with a higher rated player. How should I prepare for round? Okay, if it is single round or double round, doesn't matter. In both the cases, you should sleep very well. Okay, good night's sleep will keep you fresh during the game. Okay, so 8 to 9 hours sleep you should have. That is one. If it is double round, go to bed very quickly, maybe immediately after the class. Once you get up in the morning, maybe 1 hour you can do some preparation. Okay, maybe like 9:30 to 6:30 like that you sleep, and then like 7 to 8:30 in the morning you can prepare. Okay, if it is single round, then if you have more time, then you can prepare in the if the round is in the afternoon tomorrow, then you can prepare in the full daytime tomorrow. If it is morning round, like I said, go to bed early, then like sleep for 9 hours or something, and then you can do 1.5 hours preparation in the morning. Or you can do one and a half preparation now, and then get up little late instead of 6:30, maybe 7:30 or 8, something like that. Okay. Now, since you're playing with a higher rated player, you should be like happy actually. I get very happy whenever I play a higher rated player because now I can really learn something good. Playing against a good player, a higher rated player, is a chance to learn good things about chess and about yourself. Okay, so go with a lot of hope. Don't doubt your abilities. Okay, don't prejudge the results. Don't think about what is likely to happen to the game. Just tell yourself, I will go and play a game which will make me proud. Okay, I'll go and play a good game. I want to see how I play against a good player. Like that, go with positive thoughts. Okay. Yasha Spacey says, can you suggest some studies for 1700 player? You can just Google for Kubbel studies, Kubbel, Kubbel. Okay, you can search and you can solve some of the studies, but there are many books for studies. Studies for Practical Chess Player is a good book by Dvorsky. You can refer to that book as well. Okay, Kom Prasad, are there any 10 books that every chess player should read first? No, there are no such 10 books. Everybody has their own preferences. So, to each his own. Okay. Sarana Bhavan says, is there a chess session tomorrow? Not with me, but with other coaches. Yes. And you can contact Nurture for that. And the Dakshayani says, how can I improve my tactical and attacking play? So what you can do, Dakshayani, you can see many good attacking players games like Morphy or Alikine. Start with some classics. Okay. So like you can see Alikine games. You will see many examples like what we saw now. Like right from the opening, they develop the pieces quickly, castle, open the center and attack. So when you see more examples like that, so I would strongly recommend see Morphy and Alikine games. If you study those players games seriously, you can make good progress in tactical and attacking play. And what is the best reply against London system? There are many. You could just search for London system. D4 N6 bishop f4 c5 is good enough. Okay. And one player suggested had a doubt like this system, how to play against this. So I would say so this position there is a offbeat line h6. Okay, one of the idea is to keep the bishop on f8. After g5, rook h7, rook f7, queen f5, something like this. Okay, and put pressure at this point. Okay, so you can search this position and see some games. Okay, then Jeet Shah says, I practice everything at home and prepare, but on board I forget and fear loss and play safe, taking more time in taking decisions. What should I do? Okay, this is a psychological problem, not a chess problem. Okay, because you are worried more about the results, then it puts more pressure on you. Okay, so one thing I would suggest is simply you have to take a leap of faith. What this leap of faith means is, now let us say you are on top of a mountain cliff, okay, and then it ends, and below you see ocean. Okay, so but I say, like I'm your friend, I'm saying, don't worry, keep walking. There is a glass road made. Okay, some new technology, glass road is there. You can actually walk another few steps without falling down. But when you look down, you don't see the glass road. Okay, so now it's a question whether you want to trust me or not. If you trust me, then you should walk. That's what I'm saying. This is leap of faith. Okay, even though you don't see, you believe in my words and then you do it. Okay, so something like this you have to learn to do. Not just for you, Jitsha, but anyone who is afraid of losing games, you have to take this leap of faith. Okay, so you have to trust yourself. So there you have to trust my word, right? A third person. But in chess, you have to learn to trust yourself, then doubt yourself. So when you doubt your abilities, you develop fear. When you trust your abilities, you gain confidence. Okay, this is the key. So you have an option. You can keep doubting about yourself. What if I make some mistake? What if I lose? What if I do something wrong? What if I do some mistake in calculation? So you can keep doubting yourself and like I may make mistakes, or you can say no. Even if I make mistakes, it's fine. People make mistakes, but at least I won't make the mistake of doubting myself. Okay, so you can believe in yourself and play, or you can doubt yourself and play. If you believe in yourself and play, you'll play more positive chess. So Om Kadam says, I'm playing World Youth Championship World Cadet after 2 months. I have long time for preparation. How should I prepare? Make your calculation very good. Okay, solve puzzles, solve studies, see complicated games, and analyze it by finding moves in your mind. Okay, so that is one thing you can do. Okay, and opening preparation. Add some variety to your openings, even if they are sidelines, it is good enough. Okay, like if you're playing open Sicilian, you can add Rosolimo, or you can add first move B3, something like this, just for one or two critical games. Okay, if you're playing a long round tournament, you'll get like 5 or 6 whites. So in one or two games, you can surprise your opponent. So similarly, so have some small opening surprises prepared, but prepare them thoroughly. Work on your calculation a lot, and mentally be ready. Tell yourself, I'm going to play well. I'm going to give my best and play well in the World Youth. Okay, so do a lot of mental preparation as well. Okay, fine. So I think I've taken enough questions for today. Rashmi?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for the session. So we have an announcement. There's one more course starting from 1st of July, and there are 5 grandmaster who will be taking session one by one. So 1 hour session each day. There will be a session live, and the pricing of the course is 999 999. So whosoever want to enroll, they can reach out to us for the enrollment process.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so I hope you understood what Rashmik just said. So we are coming up with a training program from July 1st for 1 month, and that is every day you will have 1 hour session by a grandmaster. So every day for one full month, and the fee is just 999. Okay, usually if you work with a grandmaster one-to-one, you have to play. I feel like most of the Indian GMs they charge at least 2,500 per hour, and here for 1 month you get for 999 rupees. Okay, so it's a fantastic course. I hope you'll take advantage of it.
Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
yeah. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Bye.
sir.